Hello friend, welcome back. In our previous video, we successfully complete our sign up portion. So right now from here, we can sign up that user, right? And also we have created one of the sign up user, that is our test. So right now I want to create one of the logging page. So if you want to create that logging page, first of all, we have to create one of the template. So right now I just click the save all, and now in our app logging, into the app logging folder, I want to create one of the new file, and I just name it as a logging.html, and I just simply save it. So here, first of all, which data is important? That means here we have to load it, right? We have to load our extend base HTML and then the title. I just simply copy it, and here I paste it. That means it should be as a extend or base HTML. And also I load our crispy form, that because of all it's also be needed, and then the blog title, and I just name it as a logging, okay, logging page. It should be our title, that means our main page title. And also here we have to load our body block, right? So that will be our body block. So I just simply load that body block, and here we have to add this body block. So here I just simply and our block, so that will be our and block. And here if you want to put one of the h1 tag or h22 tag as a logging your account, so this type of one of the text it should be display. So here also for the logging I want to add one of the forms. So for doing this we have to work in our view, right? First of all, into the app logging, and that is our view. So into the app logging view area, if you go to that documentation, here we have already used that our user creation form, right? So now they have for the logging they have another form. So they have another form as an authentication form. So with this authentication form we can actually log in that user. Okay, so that is our default one, that is one of the authentication forms. So right now I want to actually use it. That means this class I want to use it. So if you want to use it, first of all, in our view area here, after that here I want to load it. I just simply copy it, and after that here I just simply paste it. So that will be our authentication form, that is our default one, that is in our Django contrib auth and from area. I want to input before I have input for our creation, that means the user creation form. So right now for the logging I added another one as a authentication form. And also here I want to load our another logging and the authenticate and the logout. Better it should be needed. In fundamental I have already discussed about that things with you. So that is in our from Django, from to the Django, and then the contrib. So that is our contrib, from to the contrib, and then the auth. And from here I want to input as a logging, that is a logging method, that is default one of the logging method. Default that have the another as a authenticate. So with this authenticate it's actually check that user is authenticated or not, right? And also I want to load that logout. Okay, I just simply load it because also we will need our logout. So right now with this logging we have to work. So first of all I want to create one of the function. So here better here I name it as a def, and our function name I name as a logging page, logging underscore page. Also here we have to pass the same as a request, that means request parameter. And after that here we have to first of all check it what data, that means our form, which form we will pass it from here. So now we have to actually add it, right? So for that reasons in our view here I want to add our form. I take one of the variable, and into the variable area I want to load our form. So I have already loaded that as a authenticate form. That means this authenticate form will provide two of this field as a username and the password field. So right now first of all I just simply load it. Okay friend, I hope it's very much clear to you. And then I want to put one of the if condition. The same logic will be happen as a request. I want to check with the request method, right? If method is the post it or not, that means post or the get. First of all it should be check it, and when it should be post, then I want to actually get all that our requested data. So that is the same as a form, and into the form variable here I want to do our this authentication from all that data, whatever the data I will pass that things from our logging page. So that is our authentication from data. Here I want to pass that our requested, that means the request as a post, request as post data. So first of all I want to actually check it before we have to actually authenticate it. So for the reasons here I want to take this data with one of the variable. I just take that as a data, and into this data variable here I just simply save our this requested post data. Okay, and then I want to put that validation. That means I add one of the if condition, if our form is valid, is underscore valid. So when it should be valid, then I want to put our two of this field. And as I told you before, this authenticate actually provided some of the field. So if you go to our authentication, that means the user authentication, they have some of the default field as a username field and the password field, right? So that will be our default field. So here I want to actually check it. Because of all, if you go to our admin, into the admin here, as I told you, they have the fields, some of the user table is provided some of the default field as a username field and the password field. So right now we have to check it, right? So into the logging panel we have to check it, that is our appropriate username or not, and also appropriate password is or not. So for the reasons here I want to actually use both of this. So here, so if this form is valid, so here I want to put that our take one of the variable as a username. So into the username area, that will be our form. Okay, that means our form. And they have also one of the function as a clean data, as a cleaned underscore data. So here I just simply added as a clean data and get our this default username. That will be our default field. That means our database table, our admin database user table field as a username. Okay, so I just simply take that things in our this variable, that means in our username variable. And also we have to do the same things. We have to do the same things for our password. So I just take one of the variable as a password. Okay, I just take one of the variable as a password, and with the form clean data I want to get our database, that means admin, that means user table, this password field, right? So here I name it as a password. So that is all the default field as a password. So now I want to check it, right? So in fundamental I have already discussed about that things with you. I just take one of the variable as a user, and here I want to check it. That means this user put that appropriate username, and this user put that appropriate password is or not. So if you want to check it, you can check it with the authenticate. So here I have already loaded that our authenticate method. So with this authenticate I want to check it. So with this authenticate I want to put our field, it should be as a username, it should be matched with our appropriate username or not, that means requested username or not, and also same as password is the same, password is or not, right? And if I want to put that condition, if that our this user, that means authenticate user, I check it, and this authenticate user I take the things with this variable. So if this user is not none, that means if there have any user, then it should be logging. Okay, that means if this our username match and the password match, then I want to actually make this user as a logging. So for the reasons here I want to use our another one, that means another method as a logging. So with this logging method I want to pass our this request. So request, I want to pass that request, that is our user, that means this user request, I just simply pass it, right friend? I hope it's very much clear to you. And then I want to return, that means return with our HTTP. So here also we have to load that HTTP. So in fundamental I have already discussed about that things with you friend. They have one of the method as a HTTP redirect, right? So here that is from and the Django, from the Django and then the shortcuts, right? So from the Django shortcuts, and here from here I want to input our HTTP response redirect. So that will be as a HTTP response redirect. And also we need that reverse. So the reverse is in our from Django, and then URLs. So from here I want to input our reverse, right? So here I just simply load our reverse. So now with this HTTP response we can actually pass that data. So that is our returned and the HTTP redirect. And here I want to pass it with the reverse, and with the reverse area I want to pass that that will be redirect to our home page. That means home page, if you go to our main project, that is our URL. So that is our home page, and I just named that as index, right? So now I want to pass that user to our index. That means here I just simply pass it. That means when this user put that appropriate username and password, then it should be redirected to our this index page. Okay, after that logging, it should be redirected to our home page. And also here I want to return it. So rather than it should be returned, because here we have to pass that our diction from data in our logging page. And here you can see, friend, I didn't add that. Actually that will be one of the column. Okay, that will be one of the column, and into the column area is after that if condition. Here we have to actually load it. So here we have to actually pass it on particular that position. Okay, so you can see that is actually the line. So here we have to make that our this if condition on here. So here I actually miss it, rather than you will get that some of the error. So that is if condition, and then here that is our pass, and that is our if condition again. Perfect. And then the logging, and then the return HTTP redirect with the reverse in our index. Perfect. Okay, so here you make that sure you add it. I miss it on here, and then I want to pass it in our render. That means in our home page area, that is in our this if condition when our this post. So first of all here I want to load it. So it should be return, and then with the render. So with the render, as I told you, render actually pass two of this parameter. One is the request, another is the file location. So here I have to load that file. So in our template, in our app logging, I have created our logging.html. So that will be our app underscore logging. So into the from to the app logging, I want to load our logging.html page, right? And also here I want to pass that our context data. That means all the diction data. So if you want to pass it, you have to pass it with the context. I take one of the variable as a context. Okay, with the context here, that is our diction data. So that means that is our diction, and into the diction area I want to pass our key. So here I loaded our authentication form. Into the authentication form we'll get our two of this field. One is the username and the password field, right? So I just take the things with this form. So right now I want to pass it. So into the diction area I just simply pass it. Now we can actually access our this diction data in our logging.html page, right, friend? So now we have to work in our logging. That means if you go to our logging here, after that we have to load first of all on the form. It should be just like that same. So here we don't need any class, and also we don't need any action. Only our method will be needed, and in particular that area we have to load our form. So into the view, from to the view I pass our context data into our dictionary area as a form. That means our this key. So here I want to load our this form, and also I load our crispy. So for the reasons here I want to use our this crispy. So if you want to use that crispy form, then with the pipe, and then that is our crispy. And also here we have to make that sure you load that our CSRF token. Without CSRF token it will be not work. So I name it as a CSRF, right? That will be our CSRF token. And after that I take one of the button for the submit. So it should be as a submit. So it should be as a submit button. Here we don't need any name. I put one of the class. Okay, I put one of the class for the button. So class will be as a btn primary. Okay, btn primary, and btn small size as a sm. Okay, so this type of one of the button I want to take, and I name it as a logging. It should be as a logging. Perfect. I hope, friend, it is very much clear to you. So into the form area I load our default one of the form. So that is our default form as a authenticate form, right? the authentication form. So right now we have to create one of the URL for access our this logging. So that is in our app logging. Go to that URL here. Right now I want to create new one with the comma. So here I want to put that name. That means our path will be as a sign in. I name it as a sign in, and also I want to put that our path name will be as a sign in, and in our view area I have already created one of the function, our function name as a logging page. So now I just simply added our this logging. That means our function name will be as a logging page. Perfect. So now we have created our this path. So now we can actually update our sign up page into the sign up page. Here I load our logging here. So better I want to put that URL right now. So that will be as a URL, and into the URL area, that is I have already declared one of the name. That means our here I want to load one of the name. That means the app name as a app and then name. So with this app name we can actually use it very easily. So I just name that as the same as a app underscore logging. Okay, app logging. So that will be our app name. So with this app name now we can actually use it. We can use it our this path name. So I just simply copy it. See in our sign up here it will be as a app logging, and with this app logging I want to access our path URL name. Our name I just simply added as a sign in, so it should be as a sign in. I just copy it, and now in our sign up here I just simply paste it. So that will be our URL. And also for the logging I want to do there is actually also again the logging here. I also want to update. Now click as a save all. So now I want to check it. First of all I want to check here. You can see they have some of the error is visible. So that is in our location Python init as a Python initialize, and that is our form Django URLs input reverse. So you can see there is actually a spelling mistake. That is our reverse, so it should be updated like that. Is our view. Into the view area I have loaded as a reverse, so it should be actually reverse, reverse. Okay, I actually missing that E, so it should be as a reverse. And also here I pass it as it should be as a reverse, and then our index. Now click as a save all. Now if you check it, yes, you can see they have no error. So if you get any error it should be actually display on particular that area. So I just put some of the mistake for the spelling, and you can see it's now perfectly running our server. So now let's check this out. If you now go to our site and now refresh it, better I want to go to our sign up page. So it's now showing as a reverse sign up not found in our sign up. Here you can see I understand it because of all here friend in our URL, into the URL area I have added one of the app name, right? So if you want to already use that app name, before I didn't use it, so for the reasons our sign up name is perfectly working. If you want to use it, then you have to use it with our this app name. Like if you go to our base HTML, into the base HTML, here you can see I directly use that sign up. So right now here I added another as a app name. So you can actually you have to use it with this. So better I want to add it in our base HTML. So here I just simply added our app logging, and then that is our sign up. Right now if you click as a save all, and now if you refresh it again, yeah, you can see it's now perfectly loaded. So I hope you can well understand about it why actually this error is generated. So before I didn't add any app name, so for the reasons, so here if you don't use it then you can access it directly. Okay, so for the reasons in our base HTML before I have used directly our sign up page, but when you use that as a app name for a specific this URL pattern, if you want to access it with our this app name, you can use it. So for the reasons here I have declared as a app name as a logging app. So right now you can see for the reasons here you have to update it. That is in our app logging, into the app logging area I have created one of the path as a sign up. So for the reasons here you can see it's now perfectly now visible. So now if you go to our refresh again, and now if you want to access our logging, here I have already put that link as a logging. Yes, you can see friend, it successfully loaded our form. That is our username and that is our password form, right? So now I want to check it. Like here I have already declared that part in our view. Into the view area I loaded, that means when this user will be successfully logged in with our return HTTP response redirect, I pass that into the reverse in our index page, right? That means that is in our index. If you go to our main URL, into the view, so that is our index method. Into the index method I have loaded our app blog list, right? So that is our app blog, that is the app blog, and that is our blog list.html. That means it should be redirected to our particular this page. So now let's check this out. And also friend, here you don't need to add anything because of all automatically they have all that validation. Like you can see, it's now also showing as a please enter correct username and password. So here all that validation is by default. We get every validation with using our this class. So here I have already loaded our class as a authentication form, right? So now you can see it's now perfectly loaded. So now I want to check it. That means I have created one of the user as a test, that is username and password udemy12345. Now click as a login. Yes, you can see friend, right now it's successfully logged in. So that means our this logging portion, that means this validation, everything is now perfectly work, right? So when this user is perfectly logging, here you can see I pass it with our HTTP response redirect to our index page. So you can see it's now perfectly redirected to our index page. So friend, we successfully complete our sign in. So right now you can register new account with our this register, and also here you can logging, right? That means you can use logging your user. So here I have used all that our default forms. So for the logging I also loaded our form, and that is our CSRF token. I just simply pass it and everything is now perfectly working. So right now we are already logged in. So in our next video I want to discuss about how can log out this user. So it's also very much easy. I have already loaded that in our view. That means into the view area I have already loaded our logout, right? So with this logout method we will complete our logout portion. So how can do that work? In our next video I will show you that things with the live example. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.